Weighted grades, what they are, and how do they affect my overall grade. This is one way we measure weight. You might see food weight here. People can hold different amounts of weight. How does this relate to grades? If your teacher chooses to weight grades, they are making one category heavier than another category. If we look at this scale, we see that tests have a greater weight than quizzes. Why would a teacher weight grades? Let's say your teacher makes each assignment worth 100 points. On Monday, she assigns a worksheet that takes you 20 minutes to complete. You've just started learning this information and don't know it real well yet, and you only get 50% of the questions correct. You would have earned 50 out of 100. 2 weeks later, after you practice the skill many times, both in school and at home, you've studied really hard, you take a test. You score a 90%. You would have earned a 90 out of 100. If these scores were not weighted, your grade in the class would be a 70%. Would this grade be an accurate reflection of how well you know the information? How do I know how much each category weighs? Well, in the BLC, we use Schoology. And when you look at your Schoology report, you will see the weight of each category next to the category name. So here we have two examples. Let's take a peek. Our first category is assessment. So these are going to be our big tests. And in this case, assessments make up 60% of the overall grade. That's a big chunk of the grade. Homework is worth 10%. This can get a little tricky because at the beginning of the quarter, we pretty much only have homework assignments and in-class assignments. So you could have an F if you weren't doing your homework, and then all of a sudden it jumps up to a B if you do very well on an assessment. So that can be a little tricky with weighted grades. The one thing about homework is, of course, if you're not doing it, your chances of doing well on the assessment are pretty slim. Down here at the bottom, if we looked at the 60% for assessment, the 10% for homework, and the 30% for in-class assignments, and we did a straight average of the scores over here, we would see that we would take 86 plus 100 plus 93 equals 279 divided by 3 would be a 93%. However, in a weighted system, we would take the 86% times the 60% to get 52. We would take the 100% times the 10% to get a 10. The 93 times 30 would give us the 28. 52 plus 10 plus 28 equals 90. So instead of a 93%, this student would have earned a 90% in a weighted system. Let's look at another example over here. We have some different scores that this student earned. Notice in this case that the student didn't do so well with homework, but did very well with assessment. This, of course, is very unusual. With a straight average, this student would have earned a 73%. However, when we use weighted grades, this same student earns an 83%. Does this mean I don't have to worry about low-weighted assignments? Absolutely not. It's those little guy assignments that will get you to practice you need to do well on the big guys. You wouldn't start lifting this until you practiced with this. Things to remember about weighted grades. Every assignment is important, but some have a higher grade weight than others. Your true grade will not be accurate until the end of the quarter when final assessments have been given. Those are the big guys. You should always check Schoology to see the categories that are weakest for you and focus extra attention on those.